Good day, everyone, and welcome to a special video essay, where today we will be discussing the stories that we can learn from the works of two women within the field of creative nonfiction, or CNF. I won't be the only one discussing this, however, as I have thankfully had the opportunity to collaborate with Earl Santos and Alyssa de la Cruz, two students taking up CNF at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, for this video essay. Now, as for the two stories that we will be discussing today, they are Amy Nezuko Matatil's World of Wonders in praise of fireflies, whale sharks, and other astonishments, as well as Rosario Garcianos Mean Streets, Essays on the Knife's Edge. So, without further ado, let's dive right into things.
Amy Mizuko Mataro and Rosario Garcellano both illustrate how nature and gender are not merely background elements in storytelling, but vital forces that shape character, theme, and meaning. In Mizuko Mataro's prose, nature is a mirror of human emotion and identity. Her reflections on animals and plants are deeply personal and are often intertwined with her experiences as a woman of color, navigating cultural dislocation and belonging. Likewise, Garciliano, writing within the Filipino urban context, uses the urban world not only to set the stage to her writing, but to reflect deeper emotional and societal conditions. Gender plays a crucial role in shaping how characters experience the world around them. Nezuko Mararo's reflections suggest that nature can be a site of comfort, while for Garciliano, her works often shows women confronting a harsher world where their gender limits their mobility, expression, and power. The physical spaces her characters move through, whether rural or urban, become battlegrounds for asserting voice and agency. These writers demonstrate that nature and gender are not background elements, but vital lenses through which stories are shaped. Nezuko Mataro's quiet awe and Garciliano's sharp critique both offer ways of seeing how women negotiate visibility, voice, and freedoms in the world they inhabit.
In Guy Debord's book, The Society of the Spectacle, Debord said that most of the images that we see, like in the media, are idealized images or experiences that were then replaced by images. He also mentioned that we tend to skip true experiences, such as chores. It is also how we preview life, through images of special events. I'm pretty sure that when we look back on our lives a year later, we won't think, oh, I remember washing 5 plates on that random Wednesday afternoon. There's nothing special about it, nothing that stands out. So why talk about it? From a storytelling perspective, the most exciting conflicts are those that cannot be escaped, like Spider Man's dilemma. Peter Parker has to tackle school in the morning, and Spider Man needs to save the world at night. In her book Mean Streets, Garciliano lives like Spider Man. She called our attention to the unskippable, opposite forces like the woman's need to be feminine and masculine, the need to be brave and vulnerable, and the need to take care of the family or clean the house and write. We shouldn't be surprised, but life and its stories have already been structured this way. Humans are subjected to forces that we also created. In the glamorous city, both the elite and the poorest of the poor live. Plants and insects that remind us of childhood are now considered unimportant, dwindling, like our sense of wonder. Our life is made of work, not just a career type of work, but housework. Unless you can pay someone to do it, you're always going to cook. There are always dishes that need to be cleaned, corners in our houses that need cleaning. And please, can we stop claiming that these are easy? This is why we love to travel and to tell stories of travel, to escape. And what do we call travel? To experience life. Where else do we get stories but from experiences? What our female writers is trying to tell us is that it would be a lie to deny the double lives we live every day. Our regular lives will never live up to the spectacular images in movies, but they can be told, like Garciliano's double life as a mother and a writer, and Izuko Matatil's challenge of keeping wonder about the world as nature gets replaced by man made figures. This is our daily Spider-Man's dilemma. But stories do not just happen with just a conflict. It might be the catalyst, but it's not the entirety of it. When the conflict arises, what do you do next? How would you, the character, approach the issue? How do you challenge the ordinary?
Thank you, Earl and Alyssa. What meaningful insights to include in our video essay about the works of such competent women writers. As for my own insights, they have to do with what both Nezuko Matatil and Garciliano reveal to us about writers through their stories. The first thing that I would like to talk about is to compare how both women highlight the importance of using one's own experiences to shape, inform, or even be the basis of the stories that we would like to tell in our own lives, whether by writing them down or otherwise. In Garciliano's work, the foreword introduces readers to the fact that her collection of essays were mostly written while she was holding down jobs in print media. Of the multitude of essays included in this collection, the three essays we examined all revealed insights into three social roles: being a woman, being a writer, and being a Filipino. We can assume that all of these essays were written with inspiration from, if not based off of, anecdotes from Garciliano's life, given that she fits into all three roles herself and likely has her own relevant experiences to draw from while writing. As for Nezuko Matatil's collection of essays, the importance of her own experiences in shaping these stories is much more obvious, as not only does she employ the first-person perspective, which allows us insights into her life, she also explicitly states certain memories that are brought to the forefront of her mind whenever she sees the associated astonishment of the world, such as remembering the vacations that her family used to go on when she was a kid whenever she encounters fireflies. However, where these two brilliant authors diverge is the kind of experiences that they use to be the basis of their stories. While Nezuko Matatil's experiences are generally heartwarming and wholesome, those of Garciliano seemingly seek to divulge all the nitty and the gritty details of things that people either don't talk about in that way or even don't talk about at all. An example of this is when Garciliano talks about experiences with childbirth, as instead of the usual over-the-moon ecstasy, readers are greeted by a much more solemn and even resentful outlook on the experience, stating the cold grimness of it and how it made her feel alone, puny, and helpless. This distinction is important as it demonstrates how other writers can both use positive and negative experiences to shape their stories and still arrive at the same result: a work of literature, whether CNF or otherwise. Now, with that out of the way, oh, hold on, I'm getting a call. Hello? Oh, hi, Sam. Yeah, just a little busy. Recording a video essay with Earl and Alyssa about the stories that we can learn from Amy Mizuku Matatil's World of Wonders and Rosario Garciliano's Mean Streets. Oh, you read them too? You wanna share your insights about them? Great. Okay, I'll put you on. Well, what a surprise! Without any further ado, here's Samantha C., another fellow student from the University of the Philippines Diliman, taking up CNF with her own contributions to this video essay. Take it away, Sam.
Within the busy metropolis and the buzzing biosphere, a story emerges from the eyes of Rosario Garciliano and Amy Nezuko Matatil. Through their respective works, Mean Streets and World of Wonders, these authors show the wonders that can be done by a creative mind, while simultaneously showing us that there's always a story to tell even in the most mundane things, because we, as people, as individuals, are active bearers of stories. This is not only shaped by our memories or narratives from our life journey alone, but also by our ability to find poetry within the ordinary. On top of that, we carry, shape, and tell stories that speak for more than just themselves. Rosario Garciliano, recognized as the weary observer, illustrates this in the way she writes about the untold stories, the overlooked narratives with obscure yet entirely real characters. What might be an everyday scene of a late-night commute through the busy streets in the Philippines is an elaborate scene awaiting interpretation for Garciliano. Mean Streets capture the messy and unpleasant reality of urban life in the country, an initiative from the author to take a closer look at an otherwise ordinary side of poverty and systemic inequality for the average Filipino. Being the wary observer that she is, Garciliano reflects the stories of the ordinary people of our society, the working class, the impoverished individuals, and the troubled youth, people who make up the greater part of our nation, and therefore individuals whose stories deserve to be told. She says that it is none of her business, but she tells their stories anyway. As a writer, Rosario Garciliano becomes a vessel for the hard truths in our society, making a subtle political commentary by grounding it on a story of her personal experience. And this is commendable, at least according to Lee Gutkind, when he says that the most effective creative nonfiction writers are aware of the universal chord, where they capture the widest audience possible by extending the scope of the narrative far beyond their own experiences. Meanwhile, Amy Nezuko Matatil shows how storytelling is an innate capacity present within all of us. The individual way we look at things is a story in itself. A flower is only a flower until you associate it with the person. A rock is only a rock until you try to understand how it's been weathered. Amy portrays herself as a bearer of stories through her personal recollections of her experiences as a brown woman living in America. And she elevates this by grounding her stories to a certain plant or creature. Much like her memories, nature possesses the same mundane familiarity we see and encounter every day. But it is only when we take a moment to dwell and appreciate its presence, those quiet, ordinary moments, can we then start to see its wondrous aspect. Amy Nezuko Matatil demonstrates her feelings of grief, love, and nostalgia, and anchors them to the metaphors of nature. Her stories may be intimate, but they echo experiences that could very well belong to someone else. Her work is wrapped in layers of culture and history, and she invites her readers not only to witness her story, but to find themselves in it. Because there is nothing entirely new under the sun, only new ways of seeing and framing. As people, we are all bearers of stories, not just our own, but others as well. Our personal narratives are tinged with other figures and experiences of other people with us. We bear their stories as much as we bear ours.